Hello, do life in a body you love chicks. You guys are in for a treat today. I have my gorgeous client Becky here with me, and her journey is so inspiring to the women inside of the Keep It Off Academy that we decided we could not keep it there because there's so many amazing lessons for any chick who's trying to lose weight from the experience that Becky is having. Not because, oh, the program's so great, but like the things that are different for her on this path. And I think it's really important for you guys to hear it. So Becky, thank you for being on here with us today.
Absolutely.
Why don't you just start by telling the girls a little bit about you? Like, what do you do? How old are you? Who is Becky?
I am Becky, and I am a high school computer science and math teacher, and I am 51 years old, and I am a grandmother of 4 and 1 on the way.
That's so exciting. Oh my goodness. Well, I don't even know how we even found each other. Probably Facebook.
It was totally Facebook. I don't even know why you popped up, besides it was a God thing. So,
oh, I love that so much. So let's rewind. This might be difficult for you because this was like 4 months ago, I think, but like back up to that time before we started working together. What was going on for you that you were like seeking help with your weight, with your health, whatever? What was going on?
Well, I was in a point where I had been trying the same old, and this time it wasn't working. So, I have done Atkins, it worked, but as soon as I went back to eating, crap again, I put it back on. I had done, 21-day fix, but again, once I got out of it, and I had gone back and tried those and they weren't working. So I was like, I need somebody in my corner.
So you and I talk. What made you decide, yes, the Keep It Off Academy is what I need to do?
I honestly don't know. Besides, you ask the questions of, are you ready to do this? And if you do it slow, is that okay with you? And I was like, I don't know, am I? But I decided yes. If it's what will keep it off, it doesn't matter. In fact, it's healthier, I guess, if we do it slow. I mean, I'm like everyone else, I think, where I want it to go very quickly because it feels like I gain it very quickly. I don't think we gain it as quickly as we think we do, but we feel like we do.
Totally feels that way. I always joke that like one night I just woke up and I was a couple of sizes bigger and I was like, what just happened?
No. Right. Well, that's how I feel, especially when, the scale, that lying friend of ours, will throw 3 pounds, even though it's not fat. It's so many things that it's judging that it just feels like it jumps on a whole lot faster than it comes off. But I decided if it's going to stay off, then yeah, I can do this slowly. I can be the tortoise and not the hare. So.
Yeah. And when we say like slow, sustainable weight loss, I think people have this idea that like you don't see any changes in your body or on the scale for like months. And it's like, it's not like that, right? I mean, you still see amazing progress. It's just not like, oh, you do Atkins or one of these diets where you lose like 20 pounds in a month. We're just like not doing that. So
no, I think I was averaging 1 pound a week before I started strength training. So, I mean, that's still, good weight loss.
Yeah, it is. I think we have it in our brain that like 2 pounds a week is what it's supposed to be because that's what we're generically told. But like I always tell people, I'm like, so I'm 5 foot tall and my husband is 6'1". How can it be true that both of us should lose the same amount of weight? Sure. Like that just like doesn't even make sense if you have any sort of science logical brain whatsoever. Right. But that's what we're always told, lose 2 pounds a week. And it's like, some people can lose that. Some people can safely lose more than 2 pounds of weight. We have women who do, but like for your size, 1 pound a week is like, it's great. So tell us what happened when you joined. Like, how did this process start? You don't got to tell us exactly what your plan was and what you were doing, but what was your experience like?
Okay. So, we, met and we set up my blueprint or my plan. And I was just eating a little more protein or consciously thinking about my protein, eating healthy. And the scale was going down. I started concentrating on making sure I was getting in more steps than normal. And that was about the first 8 weeks. Well, I tried every once in a while to throw in some at-home strength, but it just wasn't working. So then you and I were like, strength training will be good for you, but that scale is going to quit moving. And I was really close to a milestone number. And I was like, I don't know. But I said, no, I'm going to go ahead and do this because I knew in the long run, the strength, building that muscle was what was going to get me where I needed to be. So I did, and the scale stopped or went up a little, but not tons. And for about a month. And then you and I talked and I did measurements, and yeah, it was a nice surprise.
Yeah. So tell us before, because this is so fascinating. And for the listeners, you've probably heard me talking about this if you follow me on Facebook, because I talk about Becky's story a lot. So now you guys will know who that was. But tell us what happened before the strength training. So we're working together for about 8 weeks at this point. You're losing about a pound a week, right? How many inches had you lost in that time?
Yeah, I had lost about 10 pounds in those 8 weeks, and I had lost 8 inches.
Okay. So when we say slow weight loss, were you actually happy with what was happening for the amount of effort that you were having to put into it?
Oh, there was hardly any effort. I mean, it was like, I'm just eating normal food, trying to make sure I'm, making healthy choices, but, it wasn't anything that was like, oh, you can't have that. I could have whatever I wanted because it was my choice. There were, I'm a teacher, so lots of times all kinds of garbage will come into the lounge, and most of the time I avoided it, but occasionally I remember, I had a sugar cookie, that was my choice. It was fine. I mean, so
it didn't feel super strict. It didn't feel super hard. You're losing like a pound a week. Well, a little bit more because you lost like 10 pounds in 8 weeks.
Right.
You are down about 8 inches. We add in the strength training, and I told you your scale is probably going to start moving slower, but instead it totally stopped. What did your brain do? Were you like,
I freaked out a little, but that's the great thing about coaching is I could say, Nikki, help. And you were able to say, no, let's, stick with this. If it's still doing that in a week or so, we'll look at it. And we did. We said, okay, the scale's not moving. You've made measurements before you started strength training. Let's measure again. So 4 weeks into strength training, I measured, scale hadn't moved, but I was down more in that 4 weeks than I had been the 8 weeks. So I went from 8 inches down in 8 weeks to now an extra 8.5. So I was 16.5 inches down in the 12 weeks. So I doubled.
Do you guys hear this? She lost slightly more inches in 4 weeks than she did in 8 weeks, even though the scale didn't move. And like, let's highlight that, like, even if you understand this process of body recomposition and losing fat and keeping muscle and blah, 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 even if you logically understand it, I personally think that we all need somebody outside of ourselves to be objective. Just like you were explaining, like just messaging me and being like, what is happening? Like, all of this. I already explained it to you.
Yeah.
When you're the one who's hopping on the scale and it's so frustrating, it's nice to have somebody to just like bounce it off, right?
Oh, I don't know I would have quit. Even though I was being successful, I didn't know I was because I wasn't measuring, daily, because you don't measure daily. But most of us get on the scale daily. I would have probably quit because I was so frustrated. And because we have been taught that scale is the way to judge all of your health. And that's a bunch of crap.
Mm-hmm. So then the next phase, like if I'm remembering it correctly, is when we decided we were going to actually add more food.
Oh, yeah. That was a couple of weeks ago. Again, the scale's still not doing what I want it to do. You had me measure again. I think it was only another 10 days. Again, the inches are still coming off. And it's like, okay, it's working, but I'm getting frustrated because I want the scale moving. And you said, okay, we've got 3 options. We can leave your macros right where they're at, your calories. We can decrease them because I wasn't real low, or we can increase them. And going against everything I've ever been taught, I was like, okay, you wouldn't tell me to increase them if it's going to hurt me because you have never steered me wrong. And so it was like, okay, crap. I'm going to go with the one that feels so uncomfortable because I'm thinking I've done all the rest of it. So let's do that. And so, yeah, I think I started increasing. You suggested like 50 calories, but if I can do 50, let's do 200. I increased about 200 calories that next week. and the scale started going down, not drastically, but down, and I'm eating more.
Yes, I love it so much. So for the listeners, the point of this, the reason why I was really hoping that she would pick that answer or that option, not answer. There's not a right way or a wrong way. Okay.
Right.
I hope you guys are getting this. It's like, my job isn't as a coach to boss Becky around and tell Becky what to do. It's to present her with all of the options and be like, this is most likely what will happen. But like with the human body, we never do know for sure. But here's like the scientific logic behind all three choices. And which one do you want to do? Because there's pros and cons to everything that we do. And so it's her journey. It's up to her to pick what pros and cons does she want, right? And so anybody who's just like dictating what you should do, I don't agree with that model at all, because it doesn't teach you why you're doing the things that you're doing. It takes the control out of your own hands. So it was like, look, we can do this, this, or this. Now, what I was really hoping would happen was that we would just slowly be increasing the amount of food she was eating and increasing her metabolism and increasing the muscle that she was building from the workouts that we had her doing, and that the scale would stay neutral or maybe only go up a little bit, and we would both understand that it was muscle. So I told her, if you pick that option, there is a good chance that not only will your scale stay stuck for a while, your scale might actually go up for a short period of time. And I'm going to need you to be in constant communication with me, because your brain's going to melt, and it's fine. And we'll deal with that. And then, much to both of our surprise, her scale actually started going down, not up. So like she said, she's eating a couple more 100 calories. That's like a snack. Like that's like a full snack, you guys. That's like some people who are dieting, that's like their full quote unquote meals.
Right.
Like it's not a non-significant amount of food. Scale starts going down. Now scale is going super, super slow. What's happening with your inches now?
I haven't actually measured, but I can tell by just the way my clothes are fitting. The inches are still leaving. The scales moving slowly, but it's going down, and I'm definitely not hungry because I'm eating plenty. I mean, I don't focus on the calories so much. Whenever we're cutting our calories, we focus so much on that it's a drudgery. And this is, what do I want today? Yeah, let's make sure my protein's up, and really that's all I focus on. And then I go, oh yeah, make sure those calories aren't too low.
I love that so much. Make sure these calories aren't too low, as opposed to what we all normally do, which is make sure those calories aren't too high. Less is best.
Well, that's when we first set my macros, I see that number at that point, it was 1400 is where we originally set them. I think so many of us feel like, well, that's the maximum. Don't hit that. And that was, I wasn't eating enough calories. Because my body, I mean, I'm 5'10", my body needs, the calories. So
yeah, that's a hard mindset shift for a lot of women to make, is when we look at and by the way, listeners, everybody doesn't even do macros in our program. Some do, some don't. But for the women
I didn't
who are like,
at first.
Yeah. For the women who opt to do it, it's like, okay, well, let's just take a peek and see what you actually eat. And 9 times out of 10, people are not eating enough. So we'll set their calories higher than what they're eating currently. And it's still, in my opinion, usually not enough calories. I'm always trying to eat more, eat more, eat more. And for the women who can like ride that wave with us, they start seeing much better results. We have women in the program who are not comfortable with that, and they don't want to increase their calories. And honestly, they aren't losing as much as Becky.
Yeah.
And there are some women who need less calories. I don't want anybody to listen and go, oh, well, then my answer is eat more food. That might not be the answer for you. We do have women who need less food, whether we're calorie counting or not. Everybody's different, but like, so what everybody's body needs is different, but like, how does this process feel different for you? Just like mentally, from like when you've done diets and things like that.
I don't feel like it's a diet. I'm just doing life. There's not been any time that I've gone in and think, it's never felt like a drudgery. It just seems like I said, I eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And if I am hungry still, I can throw in a snack. I don't typically, unless I'm looking and I'm like, yeah, I could probably use a few more protein. So let's throw in a, protein shake. But I like my meat. So I don't usually have an issue with not hitting my protein. So
Yeah, yeah. I think one time you messaged me shortly after you started tracking, and you're like, I don't know how anybody has a hard time hitting their protein. People struggle with this, and I'm like, yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
that part comes very natural to you.
It does.
Yeah. So, are you glad you did it, Becky?
Oh, 100% glad I did it. I mean, I have never looked and said, oh, I shouldn't have spent that money. Not once have I wished I hadn't done this. I am so thankful that, my husband and I talked about it and we made that decision. Yeah, I haven't regretted it from even the get-go. No.
Yeah, it's your journey's been so much fun to watch. I'm so glad that you did it too. What advice would you have for anybody who is on the fence about doing Keep It Off Academy for whatever reason? Like sometimes we don't want to put the investment in. Sometimes it's like, we're like, oh, how is this going to work? It sounds too basic. It sounds like everything else I've tried, or just not wanting to put the time into ourselves. I don't know. There's a million reasons, but like, what would you say to somebody who's like, oh, on the fence?
I would say go ahead and bite that bullet because, like I said, I haven't heard anyone who's in the academy who's regretted it. And sometimes just putting forth that investment of cash gives you a buy-in that I'll start that next week. Oh, I'll start that next week. No, because you are guaranteed the 12 weeks with Nikki where you can build your repertoire of knowledge that we think we know how to lose weight. We think we know the science. We don't, but all that you learn in the academy is worth every dime, every moment. You are important. You need to spend time on you. You need to I don't want to say you need to spend money on you, but you are worth the investment and you will be more valuable to your kids, your grandkids, your husband. I'm going to go ahead and say this. My husband would probably have paid Nikki, 2 or 3 times what I have paid her for the cost of Keep It Off Academy if he knew what it was going to do to, that intimate relationship.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know that. You've never shared that with me. I love it.
No, I've been meaning to share that with you.
I love it because it's not like you hear me say this all the time in the program. I don't give a crap what any of you weigh, but I want you all to be happy in your body. Mm-hmm. It's those things, right? It's like, it's not what the scale says. The scale will always catch up. So if any of you are listening to Becky and you're like, yeah, well, that's great for you, Becky, but I need the number on the scale to go down.
And I do too.
It will. We're in this process, but we're doing it in a different way so that when Becky sees the magic number she wants to see, it'll stay. So it's not this roller coaster all the freaking time. But in the meantime, the number isn't where you want it, but you've already lost 16 plus inches. Intimacy's better. Didn't know that. Is there anything else that just is different about life while you're feeling better in your body?
I'm more active. I'm getting up every morning, going for, a 2-mile walk because I feel like I can. And I know that I need to get those steps in. So, it's a win-win. People are starting to notice that I'm losing weight, which is, I'm like, please notice, because I'm doing this because I want to be thinner. I want to be healthier. And so, I'm just in a good place mentally. I have more self-confidence. That 12 weeks goes by so fast though. So, it sounds like 12 weeks, that's too long. I don't want to wait that long to lose, I think I said I wanted to lose 20 pounds and I didn't lose 20 pounds in the 12 weeks, but I am so much healthier than I would have been, I think, if I had tried to lose 20 pounds, starving.
Yeah. So am I hearing this correctly? That this approach, you are actually building your confidence, your energy, your mobility, your relationship with your husband, all of those things, even though the number might not be where you want it yet, but it will be.
Right.
Yeah. And it probably feels like you've lost more weight than what the scale shows. Would that be a fair thing to say?
Oh, definitely. Because when do people don't typically notice when I've lost 10 pounds? Really? I'm a big enough, I'm 5'10". I'm a big enough woman that 10 pounds, I don't usually hear people say something. This time they're noticing the 10 or 12 pounds, that I've lost. They're starting to comment, oh, you look really good. and in the past I'd go, yeah, I haven't lost any weight. But now I understand, no, the scale hasn't moved, but I've lost inches. So yeah, I am a healthier, and my body has changed.
You've lost more fat with these 10 pounds that you lost than the amount of fat that you probably lose at 20 pounds.
I agree. I agree.
Right. And so when we think about what it is that we want, ladies, yes, we want the number on the scale to go down, and it'll catch up. But like, what do we really want? We want the confidence that Becky has right now. We want the better intimacy that Becky has right now. We want people to notice and be like, girl, you look good. What are you doing? Are you losing weight?
Right.
Nobody knows what her scale says, but everybody can see that she's shrinking. And that's what we all really want, is to shrink. And when you're putting muscle on your body and you're losing fat, you are shrinking. You're also setting yourself up for better health later down the road. And I don't know if that's a concern for you or not yet, Becky. Women vary on if they care about that, but
no, I'm watching, my parents and other people as they're getting older and they're not being very active. And I'm thinking, I've got grandkids I want to be active with. So yeah, I know that what I do now will affect me whenever I'm in my 60s, 70s, or 80s, So yeah, it's important to do that muscle building now before I get where it's almost too late. I don't think it's ever too late, but.
no, but like the quicker we get after it, the easier it is, the more muscle we can put on, our bone density, it's all of those things. And when we're only focused on restricting our body, even if we're doing like some cardio and even a little bit of strength training, but if we're constantly in these big restrictions, we're not really getting that full building of a strong, healthy body,
right,
that we otherwise would, which is why we lose so much weight on the scale with diets. It doesn't look like we're losing as much.
Mm-hmm.
So good. You're 10 pounds down. It looks like a lot more.
Well, and I'm looking or putting on some clothes that I would have worn when I was, 20 pounds lighter than I am right now. And I'm like, how am I able to fit into that whenever I'm 20 pounds heavier? I mean, I'm not exactly where I was, but it's like, my body has changed so much, even though the scale, again, that liar, is telling me I'm not where I need to be.
Yeah.
My clothes are
girls in the program said the same thing last month, that like, I put on these jeans. She was packing to go on a trip, and she's like, I put on these jeans just because, okay, the other ones fit so good. I was like, I wonder how far away I am from the other ones that same exact numbers, actually. She hadn't worn them. She was 20 pounds heavier now than she was the last time she could fit in them. So she thought there's no way. She put them on. She was like, and they actually looked good. She's like, how is this possible?
Right.
Because the scale is only measuring one thing, and your body composition is so much more than that. So I love that.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you coming on and sharing this with all of these lovely women. Is there anything else that you, just random thought that you want to share with the women who listen to Do Life in a Body You Love?
If you haven't joined Keep It Off, please do. I promise you will not only get Nikki or one of the other coaches, you will get a group of women who will support you and cheer you on, in your highs and in your lows. And so it's just neat to see. I don't know these people. I mean, most of them don't live anywhere near me, but I know that, especially in this journey, if I need to say, please help me know that I am not a failure, they're there. And I appreciate that.
Yes, I love our group so much. Yeah, I don't think people notice, or they don't realize, when you join Keep It Off, you don't get one coach, you get 3 coaches, basically, because we all get on and coach together. Right. And everybody has a different knowledge set, which is really cool. But the women, the supportive tribe, and I am not a group work person. In school, if you were do group work, I was like, can I just do it myself and hurry up and get this done and get my A and leave me alone? I don't need a group. But you do learn a lot from each other. It's really supportive. Actually, I remember right when your very first call, one of the girls who's still with us and crushing it as well, who I feel know pretty good now, had a total meltdown on our group. Total meltdown. She was maybe 3 weeks in, She was totally on the struggle bus. She's crushing it now, by the way, but in that moment in time, she wasn't. And that's when we all quit. And that's when you need a tribe. And so she's having her total meltdown. You and one other girl actually messaged me. And I thought, oh gosh, they're probably like, what did I just sign up for? These people are struggling. And that wasn't your message. Your message was, I just ran in the other room and told my husband that this was absolutely the right decision after hearing you talk with this woman. This is exactly what I need. This is exactly what's not in any other programs. This is where I'm supposed to be. I'm so happy to be here. Where my perception was like, oh God, they're probably like, what did I just get myself into?
I had forgotten about that, but yeah, now that you say that, I do remember in that first call, I went in and said, no, this was the absolute right decision. Yeah.
Because so
And-
much of it is emotional, right? It's not all about like, here, eat these foods. That's the easy part.
Oh, right. Well, and the person you're talking about, is the one that has taught me, you're having knee problems, walk up that hill backwards, do stuff like that, because she has so much knowledge in what she does for a living that she was able to pass that on to the rest of us, that she's great. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great group of chicks, right? We got physical therapists, we've got nurses, we've got teachers, we've got pharmacists, these aren't women who don't know anything about health or the human body, but that's not what really the point of it is. Like you said, I can give you the knowledge. We do give you the knowledge in the program, but so much of it is like, how do we actually put this into our life? How do I like be a real person? The goal of losing weight isn't to be miserable the whole time.
Well, and I am not miserable at all. I'm telling you, this time, usually I'm like, okay, how many calories I got left? How much, and I don't do that. I don't dread dinner or, oh, well, can't have that. Can't have that. There's none of that, because for one thing, I can have whatever I want. I mean, I may slow my scale down. I may increase my scale, but what I found is forget about the stupid calories of keeping them low, because we get so taught in our diet mindset of, oh, the lower those calories, the more you're going to win. And as we've said, that is totally bunk for me. So.
Yes, I love it so much. Thank you so much, Becky, for sharing this with the ladies. I know this is going to inspire so many of the listeners, both the women who are in Keep It Off, because you're already inspiring them all the time, but now the whole audience. So thank you so much for being on. I will see you tomorrow night on our call.
Sounds great.
Awesome. Thanks, lady.